In this video, we will explore 7 ways we can live graciously in our power and avoid being manipulated, used, or diminished in any way. Hello, I'm Marvin Glenn, the Singing Sage. Just in case you're here with me for the very first time today, please hear these 2 statements before we begin. All of my videos are offered to you on the basis of possibilities of what if. Because I'm also always evolving and learning, I ask that you always and only depend on your own inner divine presence to verify my statements and stories before you accept anything I say as the truth. In other words, ignore your programmed mind and depend on how you feel in your heart and your gut. Very recently, I came across a wonderful YouTube channel that I find worthy of sharing with you. It's called the Stoic Habit. There's a lot of wisdom here, and in this video, I'll be sharing, in my own way and words, some of the wisdom and truth they are bringing into our world. I'm learning and applying many of these techniques they offer because they help me maintain my spiritual calm in the storm and avoid getting caught up in the chaos raging around us. As you know, there are many ways we and other people go about diminishing our presence in this world. You know, like the I am not good enough habit. Since birth, we have generally been subtly taught that we are not really as wonderful as we think we are. Down deep, we know and feel our true magnificence, but the culture and system into which we have chosen to be born is dead set against us ever expressing our true, authentic selves without making us feel unworthy, insignificant, or even stupid. Anything to keep us down. Because you're with me here today, you are most likely aware of the truth of our human situation. We are all subject to the control and manipulations of the matrix of deception we're living in. Our minds have been secretly programmed for millennia to make us controllable by the dark spiritual forces in this galaxy. Today we begin learning how to stay rooted in our own divine presence in the face of anyone or anything wanting to deprive us of our freedom and deny our magnificence. You are magnificent, right? I really hope you know that. But if you feel small, unseen, insecure, or scared, you're certainly not alone. We're all in this together. That's the way life on Earth has been for many thousands of years. But now we're living at a historic time in our history, when we are waking up from our amnesia and starting to live in our own innate divine power. Let's talk about something most of us experience in our lives: the manipulator. The person who uses us to get what they're lacking in themselves. There are plenty of those people around right now. Sometimes we feel our strings are being subtly pulled, and it doesn't feel good, to say the least. None of us like feeling fooled and manipulated because it makes us feel like an animal being stalked and used for someone else's agenda. When this happens, we can use some powerful techniques to keep us and our personal integrity intact. There are many people who have never grown up enough to own their own weaknesses and failures. They are angry with themselves for being so incapable, but they can't stop long enough to look at themselves and say, yes, it's me who is not pulling my weight or not taking responsibility for how things are. It's me who's got to get with it and set myself right. So instead, they blame others for their failures and mistakes. They make others feel guilty for failures that aren't even theirs. So the first technique we can use is silence. Stop reacting. Manipulators absolutely need our panic, our tears, our stumbling words to defend ourselves. They'll use every word and every excuse we offer against us. That's where this technique comes in. The next time this happens, what we can do is simply keep our mouths shut. If we can stay silent long enough, it's amazing what happens. It's like we've just thrown water on down the throat of a fiery dragon. All that's left is a dazed look of wonder and a question mark in its eyes. Why is that? It's because true, unshakable silence isn't weakness, it's power. The thing we can do is change our reactions, and we can do that by changing our perception of what's really going on. When we stop seeing the dragon as an evil monster and start seeing it for what it really is, that is, a scared and hurting being in need of what we ourselves are needing: acceptance, inclusion, safety, and love. When we do that, the whole situation changes. By being this way, we block their entry into our minds and refuse to dance to their music. The important part is that they are forced to look at themselves, to see their own emptiness. Please remember that the power of silence is magnificent because the manipulator is defenseless against it. The second technique today is the mirror. When someone steps into our world and calls us a liar, what's our first reaction? We try to explain and defend ourselves or prove them wrong. When we do that, we have jumped into their powerful trap. What we can do instead is simple. We mirror them. Whatever words they just used on us, we simply and calmly repeat back to them exactly as they said them. This creates an echo in the space. We say, "I'm a liar, is that what you meant?" We'll be surprised at what happens next. The manipulator expects a fight, a plea, or chaos. Instead, they are now standing in front of a mirror. They must look into the clear scene and see themselves. When we put their own words back into their ears, they cannot speak because they start seeing their lack of evidence, their weak logic, and their loss of control. They feel their loss of power over us. The big change we see in us is that we are not arguing to win, we are calmly showing how weak and empty their accusation is. Remember, a mirror doesn't change the person's appearance, it merely makes truth unavoidable. Truth is hated more than anything else. The third technique is emotional detachment. A manipulator feeds on our emotions like guilt and fear and desire. If you give them access to your heart, they can steer your life. The manipulator uses many tactics to make us feel guilty or wrong or at fault. The secret way to escape all this torment is to separate ourselves from our emotions and only focus on the truth. This is the pathway to changing everything. We must take a higher view of the situation and remove ourselves from the playing field. Emotions are just our energy in motion. They are powerful, but they are not who we are. Our emotions are not really in charge. Being an objective observer above the game and not identifying with our emotions sets us free. This is the power of emotional detachment. We're not cold machines, but we can still refuse to be controlled by our feelings. Our emotions are real, but they are not our boss. We can put reason between us and our responses to whatever is happening around us. When I get triggered emotionally by something, here's the way I usually handle it. I freeze myself. Be still for 10 seconds. During that 10 seconds, my heart gets a chance to have its say in the situation. In my heart is where my wisdom lives. I find that responding in wisdom is a lot more productive than reacting in anger or fear. The fourth technique is cut the energy source. Our reactions are their power. They get their energy from us. They are like vampires who cannot live without our life's blood. What if someone came and said that they heard, "I am selfish"? I can deny, explain, or scramble to prove otherwise, but when I do that, I've just lost control of the situation. Instead of that kind of reaction, imagine that I smile and say, if that's what you think, then that's fine. That's an unshakable response. If someone thinks I'm a stinker, let them. Their opinion doesn't make me one. A manipulator expects my anger, but I give them stone. They lose their grip on me. Because I don't respond, they have nothing to use to torment me even more. Remember, every battle we refuse to fight becomes a battle they cannot win. That is the strength of a spiritually integrated being. Our power is solid. Our peace is secure. The fifth technique is setting boundaries. Why do we want to set our boundaries? It's because without boundaries, we are at the whim of anyone who wants to disturb our peace or torment our mind. Boundaries of iron give everyone the feeling that we are our own person, who loves themselves enough to stand solidly in their personal integrity of being. Setting boundaries can be done gently but firmly. Simply and calmly stating a boundary actually gives the other person a more accurate perception of who we really are and tells them that we know who we are. Boundaries also help the other person feel more secure in their relationship with us, that there are walls and doors, that our personal structure is sure and steady, that we are trustworthy and authentic. Boundaries are the guardians of our dignity and integrity. A person who says yes to everything is not admired, they are used. A person who stands firm, who guards their time, their peace, their energy, commands respect without having to ask for it. Remember, a boundary is not cruelty, it's clarity. It tells everyone, this is who I am and this is where I stand. The sixth technique is reversing the burden. When a manipulator approaches and accuses us of an egregious act, we can look them in the eye and say, that's a strong accusation. Do you have proof? This response immediately shifts the burden from us to them. The ball is now in their court. Their lack of evidence is shown up. After all, if that isn't true, why be troubled? If it is true, why not face it calmly and own it? The manipulator counts on our fear of judgment, but when we give it back to them, they are lost in their emptiness. Remember, if someone accuses, they must prove. If someone demands, they must justify. The only thing they deserve from us is the silence of our strength. The seventh technique is the cold withdrawal. Because many people aren't really trying to defeat us, but many may want to simply drain our energy, the most ruthless thing we can do is simply walk away. Manipulators want the endless back and forth, the proving, the defending, the shouting. Every word is a chain keeping us bound to them. We would be very wise to avoid fighting every battle and choosing which battles to fight. Sometimes the only way to win is to walk away. It makes us untouchable and free. The paradox of withdrawing is that we win twice. We win peace and we win power because the manipulator is left fighting shadows. Now we know 7 ways to keep our power and stay free. As we all also know, this knowledge without action is absolutely worthless. So the wise ones among us will choose one tactic and use it today as the guardian of our mental sanity and spiritual integrity. There are also more ways to increase your own self-love and power. This video here offers them to you. If you are inspired by this video today, the best things you can do are to have the thrill of touching the like button below and subscribing. Those 2 things help others also remember their own greatness. Thank you for spending some of your time with me today. The song for today is I Am the Power.
Blinded by the matrix, hungry were my eyes. Everywhere I looked for truth, all I found were lies. Dogmas and deception played me like a fool, tossed around by every wave. Anger was my rule. Weak and small, afraid to try, thought I'd never fly. But now my eagle spreads its wings and flies. Oh yes, it flies. I am the power, I am it all. I am the power, I have never been small. I remember who I am, mighty, human, grand. I am the power, that's who I am. Ages full of anger, eons full of tears, brought me pain without relief, filled me with my fears. Bound by limitations, crying in the rain, made me honest with myself, honest about my pain. I no longer want to hide, won't do that again. I acknowledge all I feel, my joy and all my pain. I am the power, I am it all. I am the power, I have never been small. I remember who I am, mighty, human, grand. I am the power, that's who I am. Something now is changing, changing how I see. All the time I spent in fear taught me how to be. Dramas and emotions gave me what I need. Strength of heart and wisdom deep fill me, make me free. Now I stand upon this world, lightning in my hand. I remember who I am, a God, a sovereign man. I am the power, I am it all. I am the power, I have never been small. I remember who I am, mighty, human, grand. I am the power, that's who I am. You are the power, you are it all. You are the power, you have never been small. You remember who you are, greater than a star. You are the power, that's who you are. We are the power, we are it all. We are the power, we have never been small. We remember who we are, greater than a star. We are the power.